courthouse. Made it. Oh, here we go. Courthouse parking. Oh, oh, you guys got to see this. Look at. I'm outside the courthouse. I stopped by yesterday and talked to the security guard to find out if you could have like a cell phone and all that stuff and see where the court was. And today is the first day of voting. When I got here this morning at like 8, like court started at 9. I got here at like 8, around 8:30. Hey, Trixie, there were, look at all these people over. This line has been like this since like I got here at 8:30. This is the first day of early voting. Today's the first day of early voting in McIntosh County, Oklahoma. So I went to court. It was very hard to hear a lot of it. But this was preliminary hearings for both Brian Dunker, which is Outlaw Reform Ministries, and that was for child neglect, for letting pedophile Richard Dusrashers live on the property with his son. So Richard was here for his court case too. I think his was like because he wasn't supposed to be living there, or he hadn't registered there. Okay, so I took notes. See, I got me a little notepad. Write it down. Hi, Anna. Love you. Okay. So it was very, very interesting. So when I got here, and I was walking in, I actually walked in behind Brian Dunker, and his mama is here. Brian Dunker came with his mama and Richard. They all came together. Richard and Brian Dunker have the same lawyer. And so just kind of updating you on all the stuff that happened here. So when I came in, I think they saw me coming in behind them, and he went over to one of the bailiff guys, and I don't know why they always do this, went over to one of the bailiff guys, and I heard and I heard like something about trouble. So he was trying to get the bailiff to say that I was going to be causing trouble and all this stuff, which I didn't. I was very quiet. I didn't even talk to Brian Dunker or Richard. But so because I was behind them in line, when I went up to the elevator, I asked the guy how to get to the courthouse, and when I went to the elevator, I actually had to stand there by Richard and Brian Dunker and his mama. And when the elevator came ready in time, nobody was going in. They didn't want to go in with me, so I went in all by myself. I got the elevator up all by myself, and I found it interesting though that I sat on one side, and they ended up moving me because I was up in the front. And I had to go back a couple rows because they were bringing the prisoners in, the ones in the shackles. And so they got the first 2 rows. And so I'm sitting back there. I moved back, and I'm sitting there, and I see like 4 or 5 police officers coming in. And they went up to the, there he is leaving. Him, his mama, and there's Richard. And they're with his lawyer. I noticed that one of the officers, instead of going to the jury box, he went over and sat right in front of these 2. Now, Brian Dunker has to come back because he has court again at 2. He's being sued by one of his neighbors. So this should be interesting. I'm just going to give you a little, let's see. There he is. Him, his mama, and Richard. He came with the pedophile. He actually brought the pedophile with him to court, and there they go together. Where'd they go? I think they went back over there. Okay, so while I'm waiting to see what happens, so let's see. Oh, there they are. There they are. They're down there. See, they all came together. He actually brought the pedophile that he's being accused of having live around his son. He actually brought him to court with him. And according to Brian Dunker, he's paying for this guy's lawyer, Richard Desrochers. Richard Desrochers is a violent pedophile. He had sodomy, forcible sodomy is what he was accused of. What are we seeing? We're seeing Brian Dunker over there. Whoops, now this van's in my way. That's Brian Dunker, his mom, and the pedophile that he let live with his son. He's being charged with child neglect because he let Richard live, who's a violent pedophile. That's what I was just saying. He actually had forcible sodomy on a child. So, hey, Shadowburn. So yeah, so here's what happened today. Yes, I do know the outcomes. I'm going to tell you. So while we're looking at that, just a second. Yeah, Desrochers and Dunker. So here's what happened with Richard. Richard waived his preliminary sentence, or preliminary hearing, sorry. He waived his preliminary hearing. And so he has court, I got it all written down, on January 9th, 2025. So this officer here was one of them that went up and talked. I'll tell you about that later. But so Richard, it was very, very hard to hear them. They didn't do very well with using microphones or anything like that. But Richard has court for his actual court date now. This was the preliminary. So he's on January 9th, 2025 at 9 a.m. And he asked for his to revoke his suspended sentence. I'm not real sure about that one. I think that that the judge did go ahead and do that. So Dunker came up after that, and I'm going to read here he did do his preliminary hearing, and he had his lawyer talking and stuff. So let's see. There were two witnesses I was not impressed. I was not impressed with the witnesses, one of the witnesses, and I was not impressed with the district attorney all that much, because although they did get it, she only had the two. Let's see, it was Sheriff Rob, I thought it was Rumble, who is the probation officer for Richard. And he was called out there because of Richard. And Deputy Smith, who is the sheriff, he's a younger guy, and he was like having to look at his notes a lot. Look at his thing. So hopefully he brushes up before the actual court date. But even with that, the judge did go ahead and he found that there was probable cause. And Brian Dunker will also be having court on January 9th, 9 a.m. There will be a trial. So hopefully the prosecution will get their case together and they will do a much better job on January 9th. So for the trial, because we all know, I mean, like I even called the DA's office to send them proof from Brian Dunker's own lives where he shows, look on my shorts, Brian Dunker, okay, who's a sex offender also. Brian Dunker has his 4-year-old nonverbal Down syndrome son, and he has a violent pedophile living on the property with his son. He says that there's no, he doesn't ever leave him alone with him and all that. I've seen it on the lives. I put it out on my page. Brian Dunker has put a live where this is when his son was only 2, where he drove up to his property with his mom. His mom gets out of the car, starts going into one of their buildings there, because there's shit all over their property. They have all these RVs and trailers and boats and all kinds of shit on his property. It's like a junkyard. And he shows on there where he's doing a live, and he goes up, he gets there, he opens the car door. Richard, the sex offender Richard, comes up, pedophile Richard comes up to the car where Dunker is, and Dunker says, hey, can you watch, can you keep, well, how do you say it? Can you keep an eye on him? And he walks away, leaving Richard at the car door to watch over his 2-year-old Down syndrome, nonverbal son. Because he wants to go live stream all his good things on his property. And he goes around and does it. And then he comes back to the car where Richard is watching his son. No. Does he have a scraggly freedom beard? No, he doesn't have the big long beard. No. Hey, Deb. You are very welcome. Rogue, upstander, rogue, whichever. So, blues lady, hello. So that's just, okay, so now we have another court case coming up at 2 o'clock that involves Dunker. Apparently, I don't have all the information yet, but I'm going to try to get some more. One of his neighbors is suing Brian Dunker for it was something about the properties and stuff. So I'm gonna get some more information. Yes, they do belong in jail. Hi, Granny Sue. So yeah, at 2 o'clock I'm gonna be back at the courthouse, and I'm going to be checking in and watching that one. We'll see how that goes. Okay, so hopefully good luck to the neighbors. It would be absolute hell to live next to Brian Dunker and his mama and Richard. Feel sorry for the people of Eufaula. Feel sorry for the people of Quinton, Oklahoma, where he now, Brian Dunker's living at a church where he brought both pedophile, Richard has been seen in Quinton at the church where Brian Dunker now lives. I think because of this shit here, he moved to Quinton into his church, and he's living there. Brian Dunker tried to get a woman with children to live in his church where he has brought that pedophile, and that pedophile is welcome. He wanted her to live there with her children, a homeless lady. He tried to take advantage of that. So anyway, I'm gonna get off. I wanted to show you guys, look at, I mean, like, it really is busy. They told me yesterday it'd be busy. Look at all these people in line for first day of early voting at the courthouse. Look at that. So I will be, who's the one from Superman? What's Lois Lane? Lois Lane is on it. Lori Lane. There we go. Lori Lane is on the case. Anyway, nice little town. I came up here and stayed overnight at the lake, and then we go. Oh, see, we got people saying vote. Y'all, whatever you vote, go out and do it. Go out and vote, okay? Go out and vote. I'm not going to tell you what to vote. You just go out and vote. If you want your voice heard, you better vote. So anyway, I will be back later. So keep an eye out. Maybe hit the notifications. Make sure you get notified, or just check it out. And we'll see what happens at the 2 o'clock court case. That's what's going on here. So thankfully, both of them, Richard and Brian Dunker, Outlaw Reform Ministries, do have a trial date, January 9th. We'll have to come back down for that. So till then, peace out. Have a good one.